be sure to throw us some love over at Patreon at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. It is that time of year when I sit down for my giant year in film endeavor, which means you can see installments of the Cinema Snob's 1984 in film long before the whole thing is released. All that and more over at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. And yes, as you can see by the background and the intro, we are officially in 1984 in film season. And also, most importantly, Jay Donaldson in the chat says, can't have a ChatGPT episode without wishing all of my fellow snobsters a good evening. I haven't read through all of the ChatGPT version of Porky's. We'll find out if he says snobsters or not. If ChatGPT Cinema Snob doesn't say fellow snobsters, hello snobsters, or whatever, that's when you know that it's a forgery. So over on Patreon right now, a couple new things on Patreon. The January portion of 1984 in film is over there, and I know that 1984 is a great year for film anyway, but I know that we're in for a spectacular year of cinema when the first two movies on there, two classics, one of the definitive high schooler by day, sleepwalker by night movies, and Hot Dog the movie, again, a definitive ski slope teen sex comedy, to the point to where whenever you see any kind of parody of that kind of film, whether it's on South Park or some other shows, it's always that same Hot Dog the movie thoop font that goes in there. So I'm prepared for an excellent year in cinema. Also over on Patreon, and it's the reason we're doing this live stream right now, is that the Porky's episode is still in copyright limbo. I would say that this is a very last minute, spontaneous version of the live stream. Not that many of them are really planned very much anyway, but I really could go into these at the last minute with the same amount of preparation that I put into if I decide a week prior I'm going to do this. Actually, that was sort of the case. Like I had a feeling like Porky's would be in copyright limbo for a little bit. I had a feeling when I picked it, because I'm still kind of getting caught up to how much in advance I like episodes to go over on Patreon. And since it wasn't the full, I mean, it was in advance, but since it wasn't the full like week plus that I usually like, and with it being a pretty popular movie like Porky's, and I think I've had to like do some appeals on 20th Century Fox before. Not a lot. There's a couple of companies where I'm like, oh yeah, whether the movie is old or whether it's a current review, I'm going to have to fight some copyright on this. 20th Century Fox, I think it's sort of like, sometimes yes, sometimes no. But when I uploaded it and it came back with the claim and having to file appeal and all that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. But I gave it until 5 p.m. my time today. So if you got the alert for the live stream, it was probably around 5 p.m. because I was waiting like, oh, it's around 5 p.m. or before. It has until 5 to get cleared, and it didn't get cleared. So that'll be up if they let it through really anytime. Like it could potentially be let through like during the live stream. But if they wait for it to time out, then it'll be later on. It'll be later on in the week. But you can still see Porky, the Cinema Snob review of Porky's, over at patreon.com/thecinemasnob. It all worked out because, let's face it, the most important view of it isn't the Cinema Snob episode that I sit there and on and all of that. No. Obviously, the best one is going to be the ChatGPT version, because I'm guessing it'll use a lot of puns that I'll be kicking myself for not using in the actual episode, or Or it'll be puns that are actually from the movie, and I'll be like, oh crap, maybe I should have spotlighted that in my own review. But the most important news, we did a Toxbox poll last week. We did a Toxbox poll where oh, is it glitching? Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, it's going red, it's going yellow, it's going red. Yeah, I don't like either red or yellow. Can you please go to green really quick? All right, it was on green there for a little bit. It didn't like my sarcasm. Okay. Let me there's really not much I can do, honestly. Other than stall. I can stall. It's green? Is it green? Can I go? You gonna let me go? Okay. I'm gonna move on with the show. It's green. You're telling me I can move on with the show. Oh, see, the chat's got my back. The chat said, not your fault, homie. See, exactly. You call me homie, that makes me feel better, and that I know that it's not my fault. Oh, they're also saying there's another AI that's better. Well, we'll see. My heart belongs to ChatGPT right now because of the nicknames that it gives myself, the audience, and the unique way that it describes my set that's never existed. So we did a Toxbox poll last week, and the choices were Rosemary's Baby, Carnosaur 3, Turkish Dirty Harry, and Eye of the Tiger, the Gary Busey movie, and the stock fifth choice, Something Short of Paradise. Now, the poll recently ended, so I am happy to report that this will be the last time that I show this particular image right here. I had to download the poster again. I had to download the poster again in order to sorry, I'm still paying attention to the red, yellow, red, yellow, green. Okay, green, good. I had to download this again so I could specifically put it in here to show that the winner was finally Something Short of Paradise, the stock fifth choice that has been in there for over a year. Over a year. I think that has spent the most time being the stock fifth choice in the polls. Is it going to be worth it? I don't know. I'll find out when I watch the movie tomorrow. I was hoping it would win. It was a close poll. For people who are paying attention to the poll over on Patreon, let me tell you something. Something Short of Paradise, it did win. It won, and it won by only one vote. By a single vote. And the percentage came out to like 34 to 34 or 34 to 33, something like that. But it was a race the entire time. And it was multiple days that the poll was going on. It was consistently a neck and neck race between that and Rosemary's Baby. And it was intense for me. Like, it honestly was a nail biter on my end. So usually I'm good at being like kind of vague at what I might, like, when I do the poll and I draw the choices, I might say something like, I think I know what's going to win, or I might say, like, that doesn't have a chance. Sometimes when I think something doesn't have a chance, I'll go ahead and say what I think the movie is. But usually when I pick them out, I'm like, I might be thinking in my head, that one might win. Sometimes I'm wrong. There's a lot of times I'm wrong on what might win. But there is always something where I don't want it to win. And there's usually something where I'm like, yeah, that would be cool if that won. So when I drew out the first choice last week, and it was Rosemary's Baby, my heart, like, sank. I was like, please don't let it be Rosemary's Baby. Don't get me wrong, I love Rosemary's Baby. Nothing on the movie at all. It's a classic. It's a great film. Eventually, when I do an episode on it, it'll be cool watching it because it is a great film. But I was like, the whole time, I was like, don't let it be that. Please, please, please don't let it be that. When I pulled it out, I honestly thought that was going to win. I thought if there was anything else that had a chance, it would be Something Short of Paradise, just because it's been on the poll for a long time. But I was thinking like it might be Rosemary's Baby because I've done The Omen, I've done The Exorcist, done the Amityville Horror, so it stands to reason like there's a good chance it'd be Rosemary's Baby, and it was also the most popular movie that was on that list. No offense to Turkish Dirty Harry. So the reason I really, really, really didn't want it to win was because I'm still catching up from being sick. I'm still trying to get enough episodes done earlier and a bit more advanced so I can catch up to how advanced the episodes were on Patreon before I got sick. And after this week, I'll be able to do that. But anyway, if it was Rosemary's Baby, that would have kind of delayed things quite a bit more. I wouldn't have been able to fully catch up this week. I wouldn't have been able to do another... I wouldn't have been able to do the February portion of 1984 in film because Rosemary's Baby it's long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. So normally, between watching the movie, writing it, editing it, putting it on Patreon, that's like a 2-day process for a normal episode. When it's something like Rosemary's Baby that's longer, and I know it's going to be a pretty long episode, that's about a 4-day process. And I was like... I was like sweating looking at this poll, man. I was like, you know what? I'm so rooting for you, Something Short of Paradise, even though I don't think you'll be as good a film as Rosemary's Baby. But Something Short of Paradise is like 87 minutes long or something like that. That'll be a breezy kind of episode to get through, more so than the other one. And also, I was ready for Something Short of Paradise to be off the poll because I know what the next stock 5th choice is going to be, and it's going to be magical. You'll have to watch the Something Short of Paradise episode to find out what the new stock 5th choice is going to be. We're not going to do the Tox Box today. We'll do the Tox Box again next week. We're not going to do it today because I already know what the next episode is going to be. Well, the next episode after is Something Short of Paradise. It'll be Something Short of Paradise, and then I'm going to do Porky's 2 the next day. Like every other episode, I want to get through the Porky's movies, including Porky's Pimpin' Pee-wee, the 2000s sort of Porky's movie that they made for like a few $100,000 budget or something like that so that the company could retain the rights, and it doesn't even take place in the 1950s. New cast, too, as well in it. So, including that one, we're gonna finally hit all the Porky's movies, which, since it's every other week, I shouldn't be here doing the ChatGPT version of Porky's 2 the next day. Okay, what do you say we go ahead and get to it? While I'm not getting any signs that we're glitching, let's go ahead and do this. Let me pull up here we go. The Cinema Snob ChatGPT version. I'm sorry, I love doing this. I really, really do, honestly. I wasn't even that mad that like Porky's got hit for copyright. I was like, well, I could get on and do a live stream, and we do the super chat afterwards and everything. The super chat's fun to do every single time, and I get to read through the ChatGPT version of the Porky's review. So, kind of like not win-win because it sucks it's in copyright, but it's like it's a lose-win situation. I might, since I'm not sure when that review will time out, I might do another live stream this week as well, later on in the week. So, okay, this was kind of funny when I asked ChatGPT to write this. It wrote out an episode like it usually does, in a matter of seconds. It's kind of like the first season of the Cinema Snob. Wrote it in a matter of seconds. Edited it in a matter of minutes. So it wrote it out, and then it took it away, and it put up this warning that said, this ChatGPT session may contain may contain inappropriate material or something like that. And it didn't let me go back and look at what it was. So I was sitting there going, what did it have me say? Did it have me quote some lines from Porky's that I couldn't even show in the review? I'm really curious what the fake version of me said that just they had to completely get rid of that original script. So then I refreshed it and had it, or I hit like regenerate. I hit the regenerate button. It brought out a whole new script for ChatGPT Porky's, and then it said, is this one better or worse? I looked at what, I don't know. You wouldn't let me see the other one. So I guess that means, are there no slurs in this one? Were there slurs in the other one? Again, what words did you put into my mouth via computer? All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do our read through of I need better glasses, honestly. Go through my read through of ChatGPT Porky's. Now, what did it call this, by the way? It always gives it like a silly name. It gives it you write an episode of the Cinema Snob where he reviews the movie Porky's, and then it gives it like the episode a name. And this one, it says Porky's Pantomime Pigsty. Again, that sounds like another Ashcan sequel that they made for it. I need to start doing that with the regular episodes. Just not Caligula, the Cinema Snob, just like the Caligula goes deep and fists the Cinema Snob, or whatever. The Cinema Snob wants more conviction out of Caligula. All right, title: The Cinema Snob Roasts Porky's. Let me actually zoom it in here a little bit, because I am actually having trouble reading it. Okay, oops. Sorry. I just need to kind of fix the lettering on it. Hang on. I wasn't kidding when I said I need new glasses. Okay, come on. Oh, let me wind you out a little bit. I knew I wasted time looking at Porky's Pigsty lettering, whatever it said. Okay. Oh, come on, don't do that. Okay, here we go. I'm not touching another goddamn thing. I had to make it wider so all the words could get in the window, and then I made it too wide so a menu appeared on the side of it, which just cut it across even more. Anyway, alright. You need to start adding stuff like that, ChatGPT. The Cinema Snob roasts Porky's and then messes with the menu screen for a while and tries to get the words really big. All right, the scene opens with the Cinema Snob sitting in his iconic armchair. It's got that part of the set right. Surrounded by vintage movie posters. Yes, as I point to hard bodies. Vintage movie posters. He adjusts his glasses. Okay, is it actually watching me right now? Spent the whole first part of this review fixing my glasses. And clears his throat before addressing the camera. The Cinema Snob. Welcome back, my fellow cinephiles, in another episode of The Cinema Snob, where we dissect the cinematic atrocities of yesteryear. Today's victim, Porky's. Ah, yes, the epitome of 80s teenage raunchiness. Let's dive in, shall we? The epitome. It's no King Frat, I'll tell you that right now. Cut to clips from Porky's featuring crude humor and gratuitous nudity. Well, crude humor is about 95% of it. Gratuitous nudity, a couple of scenes. I just show all of that in a montage at the beginning of it. The Cinema Snob. Ah, Porky's, the film that manages to turn hormonal teenagers into walking punchlines. Oh yeah, it was the first one to do that. Teenagers, horny 28-year-olds hanging out at a high school. I have to admit, the title alone doesn't exactly scream cinematic masterpiece, does it? I'm asking the audience, apparently. This title seems weird. I don't know. What do you think? It sounds more like the name of a questionable barbecue. That's not bad. It sounds more like the name of a questionable barbecue joint in the backwoods of Alabama. Something tells me that Porky's did originally want to have a barbecue establishment until, well, horny teenagers and everything, so best just turned it into a strip club, burlesque house, house of pranks, whatever it's supposed to be in the movie. It's kind of like the Double Deuce 50s version a little bit. Cinema Snob. Now let's talk about the characters. We've got a group of high school boys whose IQ seem to plummet with every passing minute. If you're looking for depth or character development, you're in the wrong theater. Oh, I'm sorry, hang on. I put a period there when there's a comma. You're in the wrong theater, my friends. These guys are about as shallow as a kiddie pool in the Sahara. All right. He spent most of that kind of being right about the characters not exactly being that deep in Porky's. Why is fake version of me traveling to the Sahara to hang out in kiddie pools? It's what else is he doing in his basement? I'm assuming this version of me is hanging out in the basement. What's he? I'll have him review the canon film Sahara not too long afterwards. He leans forward, already doing that, thank you very much. He leans forward, his expression turning more incredulous. It usually does. I don't know, do I raise my eyebrow again? That's usually what it has me do. Cinema Snob. And let's not forget the piece de la resistance, the plot, or lack thereof. Not necessarily true. There are about 5 plots in Porky's. They don't really connect all that much, but they're there. Sometimes you're with, they want to catch the girls in the shower. That happened. They try doing that a couple times. Sometimes it's about they want to get revenge on Porky. Other times it's about the coach wanting to find out why Miss Honeywell is called Lassie. Sometimes it's about bigotry and the abusive father and stuff like that. Then it goes back to sex while you're howling like a dog. Spoiler about why she's called Lassie. Where was I? It's essentially a string of juvenile pranks and sexual escapades loosely held together by the flimsiest of narratives. Well, he's kind of back to being right there. Although I think I like this movie better than the fake version of me. It's like watching a train wreck, and yep, I do like the movie better than the fake version of me. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, except instead of a train, it's a group of hormone-fueled adolescents. He really likes bringing that up in this review. It's a group of hormone-fueled adolescents careening towards disaster. Really, everyone else is careening towards disaster if they're heading towards the main characters in the film. Let's just say if a bar pisses them off, they will get their hands on some dynamite. Cut to a scene of the boys trying to peek into the girls' locker room. Well, it's not trying. They have no problem doing that shit. Cinema Snob. Oh, and who could forget the infamous locker room scene? Because nothing says quality filmmaking like objectifying women and invading their privacy for cheap laughs. Bravo, Porkies. Bravo. Well, fake version of me just wrote out his tweet for the film. He has no business going into a screening of Porky's. Let me tell you something about that scene. Here's why the scene doesn't fully work, because it is kind of just randomly put into the film. The scene works in this regard. One, the line is funny when she says, when the penis is through the wall, and she says, "I think I know that guy." Now, the main characters in it, they really aren't that great, really. There's kind of a sameness to them, really. Like, it is kind of an art form with the crude dialogue that they have in it. Like, I'll give it that. It's very unapologetic. But the characters in Animal House and Hollywood Nights and stuff like that, way more memorable than, like, our leads in Porky's. But the best characters in it, and these characters are memorable, and that is Chuck Mitchell as Porky, and Nancy Parsons, who's phenomenal as Miss Ballbreaker, however you grew up saying it. I grew up saying Ballbreaker with her in it. Now that scene works because of her, because she is so damn good in this. When she runs towards that dude's penis and tries yanking it out of the wall, she is believable in just the rage and anger in her face as she beelines towards it. And what's even funnier than that scene, because that was my favorite part of that scene. Like, that part got a laugh out of me. Was totally Nancy Parsons. And then in the next scene, where she's describing it to the principal, when Nancy Parsons she's describing it to the principal, and she wants a penis lineup. That scene's gold because of her, because she is deadpan, straight face in it, and it's one shot with no cuts, where in the background you got the goofy asses sitting there like going over the top and laughing their asses off about what just happened, and the principal is sitting there trying to act shocked, but she is like just stone cold serious and hilarious in moments in that scene where she is just sitting there saying nothing. So I don't put that movie as I like the movie better than Siskel and Ebert did. I don't put it as high as like Animal House or something like that. But the moments in the movie that do work and really stand out, it's because of her. Like, she is that great in the film. I'm trying not to give away too much about my review, but that really is just a little part of the movie. The shower part that, again, randomly comes into it in the third act. Back to what Fake Me says. He leans back in his chair, folding his arms with a smirk. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I appreciate a good dose of raunchy humor as much as the next person. Do you? But Porky's takes it to a whole new level of cringe. Well, this version of me has not seen Private Lessons. It's like the filmmakers threw subtlety out the window and decided to see just how low they could sink. Maybe true. But you know what you're getting into in the first shot of the movie, where it's the Porky's sign and there's a pig showing bare ass on the neon lights on the sign. And the first time we see a character in it, he has morning wood and is wanting to measure it before his mom walks in. But here's what I love about the movie, though, is that, like, when Bob Clark wrote it and directed it, he spent a lot of time preparing for it. He spent well over a decade, I think, working on the script, because he drew from a lot of I like this about the movie. He drew from a lot of his own experiences from his youth. The movie takes place in 1954. Drew from a lot of experiences from his youth, from his friends and other people that he kind of knew back then, and kind of accumulated all of these stories and made this movie out of it, which makes me hope that, like, this movie is entirely a true story. Like, in real life, there really was, like, some banging going on in the gym, and she howled like a dog, and everyone started cracking up. Like, in real life, they get kicked out of the Porky's establishment, and then break down the cop car, toss them all in the water, start setting off dynamite, and then hook the bar up to a truck and just pull the thing down and destroy it. And it's not the kids who get in trouble, it's Porky. You stay in your own county, Porky. Yeah, but your damn kids destroyed my bar. That's what happens when you don't have Patrick Swayze around. Okay. He pauses, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. Well, I don't know how to convey that. Is it ding? All right. The Cinema Snob. In conclusion, Porky's is the cinematic equivalent of a greasy fast food burger. Yeah, but I like fast food. Cheap, tasteless, and likely to leave you with a bad case of indigestion. So unless you have a penchant for juvenile humor and gratuitous nudity, I suggest you steer clear of this cinematic catastrophe. Yeah, I mean, it's not a movie for everyone. It's not timeless. But you know, I love an old ass raunchy comedy like that, though. And yeah, I mean, it's for like, I don't know if you were Bob Clark's age and like maybe you could identify with it a little bit, or if you're in the case of me and you grew up with that kind of movie, or you were like young when the movie, or not as young as me, but if you're, the target demographic for when the movie came out, then yeah, sure. But I mean, it's not a timeless film, but it it's got its moments where it still got a laugh out of me. I won't say that in watching it again, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it. In watching it again, I won't say that I liked it as much as when I was young, but I still did get some laughs out of it. But watching it again, it was sitting there like there are memorable scenes in it for sure that still get referenced to this day. But I could see why, yeah, there's a reason why I watch stuff and more so grew up with, like, again, Animal House or the Hollywood Nights more. The characters are just better in those films. They handled their tones better too, and they were paced a bit better. He gives a mockingly solemn nod to the camera. Now they really are just putting some words together. Mockingly solemn nod. I guess that's what it means. Cinema Snob. Until next time, my friends. Oh, he didn't say snobsters. This isn't an official fake review. This is a forgery. This is a ChatGPT. See, I knew I shouldn't have hit regenerate. Until next time, my friends, remember to choose your movies wisely. Why start now? And for the love of cinema, avoid the Porkies of the world like the plague. The Cinema Snob fades to black as the theme music plays. I guess that would be the Greatest American Hero era. Avoid the Porkies of the world like a plague. I disagree. My friends and I we went to the video store specifically looking for all the Porkies of the world. Oh yeah, we would me, Dave, Buford, all of us. Oh yeah, we would go there. We'd be like, "What do we rent today, guys?" All right. Well, some of them I've already spotlighted in 1984 in film. Yeah, we rented Hot Dog the movie. And I talk about this film in the January portion of '84. Surf 2 with Eddie Deason, which is great. It's one of my favorite Eddie Deason movies. It's awesome, man. It is Eddie Deason hates surfers in it. Like he's vengeful against surfers. So he's a young scientist in the film, and he devises a poisonous soda that turns like bullies and surfers and other people he doesn't like into these like gross out zombies that like to sit there and eat trash and like raw fish and a bunch of stuff. It is awesome. There's like clever gags in it. The soundtrack's great too. It's got like the Beach Boys and Thomas Dolby on the soundtrack, but it's got these really clever gags with this split screen going on where it's like you see like the typical like kind of suburban families then are like so identical that they have this like not like this live split screen going on where the actors have to move, act, and say their lines exactly the same. Like the mother in this household and the mother in this household. They have to just do everything completely identical and time it perfectly. You kind of have to see it, but it's really cool what they do in that movie. And yeah, we would find some we would go to the video store looking for like raunchy comedies back then and find some hidden gems, man. Surf 2 is one of them. I reference Screwballs all the time on the I reference I do reference Screwballs in the review for Porky's. I think the characters are better in Screwballs than they are in Porky's. All right, people. Well, that was fun. I'm kind of glad it's over. I'm not gonna lie, because I really do. I'm not even kidding. I do gotta get new glasses. It actually was kind of hurting my eyes squinting reading it. So now let's read the chat. Man, I'm having to like when I do. I'm having to like enlarge the words so much bigger now too when I'm reading some when I'm dressed as the snob and I got my script here and I'm like reading my lines and recording, Like, yeah, I do have to like make the words a lot bigger so I don't get a splitting headache like 2 minutes into reading the lines. Maybe that's another reason I didn't really want to do Rosemary's Baby. That's a lot of reading and I'll get a headache. All right. Let's do your super chats here, people. I hope you enjoyed that, though. I hope you enjoyed, because I sure as hell do. Cinema Snob, reading ChatGPT and talking about Porkies. All right. Viewer activity. Ooh, it looks like we already got a lot of super chats in here. Okay, it's being nicer to me now, making this screen wider. All right, there we go. All right, John Bondi. Have you ever watched Big Brother? No, not my thing. The U.S. version after the first season is more of a competition-based show than... hang on. Need to make it a little bit wider. Okay. Is more of a competition-based show with social gameplay. I find it entertaining. Yeah, to each their own, man. You know, yeah, that's not really my kind of thing. Never been into Survivor as well, or I don't know, stuff like where they're all just kind of living together and yelling at each other. Like it's not, or The Bachelor. I've never been into like that kind of like reality or competition thing, but I don't imagine we'd start watching them either. What are there, probably 50 seasons now? I used to be, back when The Soup was on, I was actually kind of caught up on all of them. Like in the Talk Soup days too. I knew what was going on all the daytime talk shows. Just in case I would be at work the next day, be like, what happened on the Mark L. Wahlberg show the other day? Oh, well, John Henson was talking about it, let me tell you. James Moyner. Brad, I wanted to tell you about a wild movie I watched yesterday on YouTube called Just in Case. Like the name, Just in Case. 1988. It's a Disney TV movie directed by Blake Edwards and starring George Carlin. Interesting. I haven't seen that. I've seen most Blake Edwards movies. Check out 1962 in film. We talk about a few Blake Edwards. 1962 was a really versatile year for Blake Edwards. Like, he did a thriller, a really cool thriller. It was called Experiment in Terror that he directed, and then he had a story credit on another thriller called The Couch, and wrote a comedy that year that was very Edwards-ish, The Notorious Landlady with Jack Lemmon, and then directed Days of Wine and Roses, the alcoholism movie with Jack Lemmon. That's fantastic. That's one of his best movies. So like, my favorite's The Great Race is my favorite comedy of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time. I'm talking like top 3. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up on a lot of Edwards stuff, but I haven't seen that one. I should. George Carlin and Blake Edwards with a silly-ass title for a movie like that. John Bondi. Would you and Laura want Jack to wear a onesie with the South Park Woodland Critter Christmas that said Merry Christmas, Hail Satan on it? Of course. Of course. He loves story time. And Woodland Critter Christmas, very unpredictable story. And an easy one to read, too. Barry the Bear, Deary the Deer, Chickadee the Chickadee. That's my favorite. No, I would. We just probably wouldn't bring him around we just probably wouldn't bring him around some of the older relatives wearing that. Big Jack Films. Hope you feel better, Brad. Can't wait for Kong 76. Oh, crap. Did I have a fever dream recently or was hallucinating and got on camera and said that I'd do King Kong 76? I should do King Kong 76. Yeah. Well, I should do Son of Kong first. In fact, that's actually in the talks box, Son of Kong is. Eventually, we'll get to Kong 76. It'll be in the talks box. All right. Senor Sticks. Is there a Turkish Porky? A Turkish that darn cat? I don't know, but I will look. I was kicking myself when I did the poll last week. when the entry in last week's poll, which was one of them was Turkish Dirty Harry, because when I pulled out the card, it just said Turkish, which was intentional. There are some choices in there that are like kind of vague. Like one of them will say like big box VHS, and I'll just be like, oh, well, what collection doesn't have Messiah of Evil? You know, and I'd randomly pick a big box VHS to throw in. So this one said Turkish, and at one point during last week's stream, I said I should look to see if there's a Turkish Rosemary's Baby, and then I ended the stream. Totally forgot that I said that, and was looking through some different Turkish movies I had and saw a Turkish Dirty Harry. I was like, okay, yeah, Turkish Dirty Harry, I'll pick that. Didn't really matter. I didn't think it would win anyway. Turkish Dirty, that was kind of the mindset. I'm like, it kind of came down between Turkish Dirty Harry and Turkish Death Wish. Again, neither I thought would win, but yeah, I should have looked and seen if there was Turkish Rosemary's Baby. That might have been a spoiler and taken some away from regular Rosemary's Baby. If Turkish gets picked again, I'll see if there's a Turkish Rosemary's Baby. I don't know if there's one for Porky's or that darn cat. Tony Sokol. This is not an easy thing to read when I'm having to squint a lot. Tony Sokolierlovsky. I hope I got that right. I'm impressed that I read it with my Mr. Magoo reading right now. Thank you so much for the super chat, Tony. It's got the number 1 on there, which means your first. Oh man, I'm gonna have to stall here for a second. I see the glitching thing going off. Tony, I'm making sure so I can wait for it to be green so that I can give props to Tony. Tony didn't ask anything or leave a comment, but it's got the balloon and the number 1 on there. Okay. I'm sorry, I was talking to the pop-up that it gave me right there. Not the motorcycles outside. I'm used to the roaming motorcycle gangs out there. Anyway, Tony, if it was glitching and you didn't see that, thank you so much for the super chat. And your first super chat as well with the little balloon icon that it put up there. Campbellzilla, you've spoken at length about the wave of sex comedies of the 80s, but what are your thoughts of the revival of the genre from the 90s, 2000s with stuff like American Pie and Road Trip? No, very, very good question. No, I love those too. I do. Because yeah, I grew up with the stuff from the early 80s, you know, your Porky's, your Revenge of the Nerds, all of those. But you know, I wasn't in my 20s when those movies came out. I just, you know, my parents let me watch whatever I wanted, so I still grew up with them. Then when you get to the, American Pie, post-American Pie stuff, then I was, you know, in my 20s, you know, the age my parents would have been when they saw the raunchier stuff from back in the day. So, yeah, I was still digging that revival. Yeah, me and my friends, we would, whether it was on HBO, Cinemax, or whatever, yeah, we would watch all of the, Screwball, Ski School, all of that. But we would go to the we would still go to the theater, sneak in some booze, and go see everything, man. American Pie, sure, but also Tomcats. Tomcats, or remember Slackers with Devon Sawa? We like that one. Yeah. We went to go see that. We would see a Euro Trip. We saw Road Trip as well. Road Trip's fine. I prefer Euro Trip. So Euro Trip has one of the biggest laughs. That, granted, I was maybe a little drunk when it was on, but I've seen the movie many times since, and I genuinely like the movie. But man, we're in the theater seeing Euro Trip in the theater, and the first time dude's email alert is said in it, where it goes, "Mail, motherfucker!" When it does that, we were on the ground, tears, laughing so hard because it was so out of the blue that email alert comes into it, and then it would happen again, and you would kind of hear it in the background. It killed us, man. For so long, my AOL. Because, yeah, so at AOL when this movie came out, my AOL was set to that sound would go off whenever I would get free time. I love it. No, Laura and I will watch some of the raunchy comedies from the 2000s. She's not. She likes some of them, like Animal House and of the older ones. Animal House, Revenge of the Nerds. Like she likes some, but she didn't really grow up with them at all. So she's more into watching like the ones from the 2000s, which again, cool with me because I'll watch a freaking like you just tell me you want to throw on a raunchy comedy, and I'm in. She more so grew up with those, so. Yeah, there's a lot of times we'll still have those on. She likes the American Pie movies a lot. Dude in the chat mentioned Saving Silverman. We saw that one in the theater. Not another teen movie I like a lot. Not another teen movie is genuinely freaking funny, man. I remember it was the first thing I saw Chris Evans in. Because, I mean, yeah, it's probably the first thing a lot of people saw him in. And I remember even then seeing that and thinking, God damn, this guy's comedic timing is really freaking good. He is so funny in that movie. As you can tell, I'm a fan of that genre. Cody Cameron. Hi, Brad. Used an AI music. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I was watching Double Toasted earlier, and they were showing some like AI, like a Star Wars AI song or something like that. You could see it out of the corner of my eye. I don't know. And I was editing the 1984 video. Dave Walensky, when did raunchy ski lodge comedies get big? Isn't that the eternal question that we'd all like to know? I think Hot Dog the movie, because I've been going in order of all the 80s movies and comedy. Because Hot Dog the movie did really well when it came out. It did. It didn't do like Porky's numbers. It's not like it was, but Porky's was like, that was like lightning in a bottle. The fact that did so well to the point that it was in the top 5 box office of that year, which again has my respect. No one saw that coming. Not even the filmmakers, the actors, or the studio saw that coming. But sorry, it's flashing red again. There we go. Go green. I can it's giving me the sign. I can go down the ski hill now. I'm thinking it was Hot Dog the movie was kind of the first kind of hit that was like very ski based, because again, very low budget movie and brought in a pretty good profit. I mean, later there was Hamburger the movie. There was of course the ski school movies. There was A Better Off Dead, of course, but that was after Hot Dog the movie. Hang on, I'm giving it some time so it can give me the cue to go forward again. Come on, there we go. All right, we're good. Are we good? Are we good? Can I continue talking about my sex and skiing movies? Campbellzilla. Have you ever seen the porno comedies Flesh Gordon and its sequel, Flesh Gordon Meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders? Before I'm not thinking about the question. I'm just still paying attention to. Oh, the chat is saying that it looks like I'm farting. That's not that's not the connection. I'm genuinely. If it pauses, that means I have enough room to rip ass. This is probably hell watching this, guys. I'm sorry. Let me I'll get through the next couple questions best I can, then we'll head on out of here. Campbell's porn. Yeah, Flesh Gordon, absolutely. I did. They used to show that on Cinemax a lot when I was growing up, and I remember seeing like the thing Flesh Gordon and thinking in my head that it said Flash Gordon. I was a kid, and I just see Flash Gordon, and then it starts, and there's like penis rocket ships and everything, the nudity, the sex jokes. I'm like, is this what Flash Gordon is? I didn't realize Flash Gordon was so raunchy. I like that now that I think about it, I did see Flesh Gordon before I saw the Sam Jones Flash Gordon. Then picked up and saw, Flesh. Oh, well, I gotta keep watching this. I never saw the sequel. Never did see the sequel, but Flesh Gordon is in the category of it's kind of weird I haven't done an episode on that yet. I will write that down. It's gotten to the point where as soon as I think of something to write down, put it in the talks box, I do. I won't right now because I'm live streaming, which there's a 60% chance that means I'll forget. But I was editing Porky's and like stuff that I was referencing in the Porky's review. I was like, I should write that down and put it in the talks box for choices. Popcorn was one of them because one of the guys in the movie directed Popcorn. John Bondi, is there a way to send stuff to you? The onesie. Send me a direct message. Send me a direct message on. I can't remember if I have open DMs on Twitter or not. If I do, send me a message on there. If not, follow the email, the email that I have listed. Either, and I don't think I have my email listed in the summary for this video, but if you look at the summary for like a snob episode, it's got like my business email in it. So yeah, send it over there, or like I said, Twitter DMs are a good way to get in touch with me. James Moyner, with all the talk of 80s raunchy films, I'm surprised you haven't covered Disney's Midnight Madness. It's very, very true. I talked about it a little. Excuse me. I talked about it a little bit in whatever year that came out, 81, 82. In either 1981 in film or 1982 in film, I talked about it. One of those I did. I should just have like I'm the right person to do an Eddie Deason month because I'm not even kidding. Like Eddie Deason he's one of those guys where he was in the category of actor. If we saw that he was in a movie, that means it's getting rented. That's how we saw Surf 2. We saw Surf 2 specifically because he was not only in it, but was like top billed on the poster. We were like, this is going home with us. It is never coming back, and we will pay all the late fees for life on this so we can hang on to Surf 2. Mob Boss is another funny one too. I think that's a Fredel and Ray do that. But anyway, that's one Eddie Deason starred in as well. That was really funny. Let me just. It looks like we're about done here. Let me just double check, make sure I got all of the questions. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good here, people. All right. So, thank you very much for watching me read through Porky's ChatGPT for about 15% of the time. Rest of the time, yelling at the very questionable connection. So, okay. Thank you so much. I'm not sure when the Porky Cinema Snob episode will be up, but it is over on Patreon right now. That's patreon.com/thecinemasnob. You can check it out there. And I'll also... it'll probably be a little later that the Porky's one goes up. I think it's got still a handful of days left to be in limbo if it times out. So we might do another stream. We'll see. We might do another stream later on in the week as well. So, okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, hanging out with me for a bit, watching me ramble like usual. Let's get that. It's the perfect time for the King Frat theme. Don't want to again. I don't want to spoil too much about the Porky's episode, but it also does end with the King Frat bumper. So, all right, good night, fellow snobsters.
King Frat, King Frat. Come everybody, come join the party.